DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, thanks for joining me today on DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson. We're going to have a great show. My guest, Dr. Mike Apley from Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, where he is a clinical pharmacologist. We're going to talk about antibiotics, and we'll talk about some things, whether it has to do with some of the policies, what that has to do with you and your farm, some of the things that you can expect from using antibiotics, and much more. Stay tuned, and thanks for joining us.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America, a place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed captioning brought to you by Colostrix Colostrum Supplement and Replacer. Proven to provide essential immunity and help prevent scours from E. coli. Trust your newborn calf health to Colostrix from AgriLabs.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Folks, this is Dr. Mike Apley, and he is a professor here at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. He is a clinical pharmacologist, and you are the Frick Professor of Production Medicine and Clinical Pharmacology here at Kansas State University's College of Vet Med, and glad to have you on the show. Lots of things going on in the topic of antibiotics, and a lot of things to kind of catch people up since we've talked about it in previous shows. So kind of where do you want to start, and how do we want to go about this? First of all, I'm wearing a cap because I have bed hair. It wasn't really bed hair, it's stocking
Cold
cap
day.
hair.
Yeah, no one wanted to see that.
So we put the cap on, and we'll also charge Dr. Lindberg for the free advertisement for Animal Medical Center.
Well, let's talk about a couple of the recent documents that have come out. American Association of Bovine Practitioners this last year came out with their document after a lot of work, consideration within the organization on how to set up an antibiotic stewardship program for veterinarians. And it's pretty basic principles about how to do it. And a lot of things, our listeners, veterinarians, and the veterinarians listening would know about, but it sets it down in an organized manner of how to approach it. And then, so we're talking about antibiotic stewardship, what's that actually mean?
Yeah.
And the AABP, American Association of Bovine Practitioners, set up how to do a program, and then the American Veterinary Medical Association, through their Committee on Antimicrobials, just came up with a definition of antibiotic stewardship that was approved by their board and is now policy of the AVMA. And so the question is, why would we care?
Yeah.
And the reason is it sets a baseline that I think a lot of other organizations agree with about what it is we should be doing. And there's key points in there that the stewardship isn't just about using the antibiotic correctly when you do need to use it. Right dose, it's for the indication, it's legal, we think it'll be effective, we monitor what happened. It's about doing everything we can to prevent needing to use it. So it's calving those heifers out on a grass catch rather than in a muddy lot. It's vaccines, it's working with your herd health veterinarian to make sure you have a plan for all these diseases. And that's really big in that definition.
About prevention and things to that nature. And the other thing is that the other part of this prevention is creating some sort of pathogen on your farm that you or your family could catch too.
Yeah, there's two components of it. One is what could pass to people, and the other is what could pass on to other animals, which would make it hard to treat. And the sky isn't falling across everything, but there's some certain organisms where it is, where we're seeing increased resistance. In some cases, that resistance is apparent after the animal's been treated. For example, in the respiratory disease pathogens, the pneumonia pathogens from cattle we're seeing in the diagnostic labs. But 10 or 15 years ago, even treatment didn't bring those out. So things are changing and are giving us a signal that we need to pay attention to that definition of stewardship. And it's real. It's not contrived or made up.
You bet. Well, let's take a break. Folks, thanks for watching Doc Talk today with Dr. Mike Apley. We're going to learn more about antibiotics, some of the policies, and some of the things going on that you can help with antibiotic stewardship. Thanks for joining me today for Boehringer Ingelheim's Cattle First. When we start to think about labels that are on bottles of antibiotics, it's extremely important that we follow them. The first thing that's on the label, what species is this indicated for? So it might be for cattle, for horses, for dogs, or cats. Once we understand the species that these products are labeled for, what's the indication? Bovine respiratory disease. Could it be for foot rot? There's a list of species, indications. After that, what's the dosage, what's the route of administration, and then what's the withdrawal time, or the time in which it's safe to take an animal to slaughter from the time in which the animal was last treated until that animal was slaughtered. So, species, indication, dosage, route of administration, withdrawal. All of these are important components on the label, so make sure that you follow them and use antibiotics judiciously. Boehringer Ingelheim's Cattle First.
It must be an inherited trait, because I have never wanted to do anything other than be in the cattle business. And it's interesting, as I have grandchildren now, little bitty ones, all they want to do is go to the barn, swing a rope, and be a cowboy. It's something, it's a lifestyle that we have, the way we make a living, obviously, but it's really more than that. It gives us the opportunity as a family to be able to work together and enjoy each other's company and make a living at the same time. We've been using Triangle for years, and the reason we do it's been safe and effective, and we're going to continue to do that. We'll put the cows in the chute twice a year, spring and fall. 100% of our cattle get vaccinated with Triangle.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply. This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Mike Apley, who is the Frick Professor in Clinical Sciences here at the Kansas State College of Veterinary Medicine, where he is a boarded clinical pharmacologist and serves in so many national and international capacities on antibiotic stewardship, antibiotic policies, and you know, the question that we kind of get to feeling like we're picked on a little bit, like, you know, why are we having to do this, and why are we the only ones that are having to bear the brunt of this antibiotic stewardship policy platform?
So there's a lot of activity going on across all types of antibiotic use. The human side has done a lot of work and they're being very aggressive. And I'd invite people to go to the website of the Presidential Advisory Council on Combating Antibiotic-Resistant Bacteria, PACCARB, P-A-C-C-A-R-B. Those meetings are public. We have some non-public ones where we work on reports that then are discussed in public. But your listeners would be able to go watch live, and they would also be able to watch archived versions of those. And there was the last meeting of last year was great. We had human experts on there talking about antibiotic stewardship efforts and prescribing policies and attitudes of physicians. Very, very interesting, very informative. And now, the 25th of January 2018, so it's either in the future, or if this is watched later, they can go back and watch the archive one. That'll be a day on veterinary medicine and how stewardship programs in veterinary medicine may or may not match human medicine, and how we move forward and prescribing attitudes and practices of veterinarians.
Well, you know, I know when I go to the doctor, if I'm sick enough to go to the doctor, I'm going in there to get an antibiotic. You know, I'm not leaving until...
I thought you were part of the problem.
I'm part of the problem. But I mean, I think we get to that point where we put some demands on our practitioners and just give me the antibiotic and fix me. Now, where everybody's for antibiotic stewardship or judicious use until they're sick, right? Kind of deal.
Well, on the human side, the studies with bronchitis, where your chest is tight, and obviously this is not offering medical advice. They should go see your physician. But in the studies there that they share with us, only a few of those cases actually need an antibiotic. And so physicians are being more and more aggressive about saying, listen, you don't need an antibiotic, you need rest, fluids, whatever, and we'll monitor you.
Nebulizer, something to open up the airway.
Veterinarians are doing the exact same thing about, I know you may think you need an antibiotic, but there could be other ways we need to do this. Plus, how do we prevent you from needing an antibiotic in the future?
Yeah, I think that the prevention is the key, and you know, the other thing that we'll probably have to wait and get into the next segment, but you know, I can't pick up a beef magazine without going through there, and here's an ad saying I'll never have another dead calf, or going to the next, you know, 4-color ad that says bigger payouts and bigger payloads of your cattle if you use this antibiotic. And so maybe let's come back after the break and touch on some of those about how that kind of, you know, what are the truths and what are some of the maybe not so truths as to what are the truths about antibiotics.
Yep.
Good. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. More with Dr. Mike Apley after these messages.
When looking at the number of farm and ranch operations, the USDA Census of Agriculture says cattle and beef production is the largest single segment of American agriculture. The census also says the average age of the American cattle farmer or rancher is in the late 50s. In order to support the continuous supply of U.S. beef, these producers need to do some business planning to successfully transfer their cattle operations to younger, independent producers.
Hi, my name is Bill Bartlett. I'm from San Antonio, Florida. We're about 45 miles north of Tampa. I'm third generation rancher here. My grandfather bought this land in the 1930s. He bought this land for 50 cents to $1 an acre. And he bought the ranch, and then along with my dad and my uncle, they ran the ranch through the years. And now it's went to my family with my mother, my brother, and my 2 sisters. I guess what I've seen the most valuable to me personally of the beef checkoff is the promotion of our markets, how it has increased our markets overseas and even here in the United States. Our society has grown. We have people that are farther away from the ranches now that do not understand the way of life of ranching. The beef checkoff helps in some of the misunderstandings that some of the consumers may have. One of my main concerns with the beef checkoff now is the value of the dollar of the beef checkoff. The beef checkoff was established in 1985, and the beef checkoff dollar now is only worth 41 cents. We need more support because we have to educate the people what is going on in the beef industry. We want to educate them about nutritional value of beef.
We've raised our children in this lifestyle, and our middle daughter would certainly like to continue that lifestyle. She has a passion for the cattle industry, and I believe with the beef checkoff's help that she could continue in the beef cattle industry and prosper and have a viable business for her and her children.
We need the support of the beef checkoff to pass this on to the next generation. Our next generation is going to take this industry and have to move forward with it. And with the support of the beef checkoff, they will be able to do this to have a better, more prosperous product here in the future of the beef industry. What we need is support of the beef checkoff in order for these things to continue on.
It's easy to spot the man who uses Synanthic. With lower volume and less waste, Synanthic steps up your deworming routine. Get more deworming with less dewormer at Synanthic.com.
Beringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Inc. knows the importance of beef quality assurance and asks you to step up and get certified. Go to bqa.org for details.
Segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Mike Apley, and we're at Kansas State University, where Dr. Apley is a professor, the Frick Professor of Clinical Pharmacology and Production Medicine in the Department of Clinical Sciences. And we kind of left with, you know, what are some of the realities of antibiotics? And so when we see some of these advertisements, and obviously pharmaceutical companies have a job to do too, and when we see the commercials on TV that maybe not necessarily about antibiotics, but the marketing of disease, and we have a solution, what are some of the realities of antibiotics?
Well, the reality of an infectious disease with a susceptible pathogen and an antibiotic that's the proper antibiotic for that susceptible pathogen is, it is very rare that we would find something that would have the same dramatic effect as an antibiotic, where, you know, that calf with pneumonia, that things are right, you catch it quick, and the next day it's a new calf. You know, you've knocked the pathogen that's causing it to feel bad and causing the disease. And in those cases, very, very effective. When we continually use that as a routine management practice, the bacteria can adapt, because we don't get them all, and the ones that survive can proliferate and become dominant either in that animal or be passed to others. And, you know, it isn't that always happens, and it's a slow, insidious buildup. One of the things they've discovered in respiratory disease pathogens for calves is the ICE, the integrative conjugative element that carries resistance to multiple bacteria. And the problem with it is, it's sneaky in that it's got the resistance genes here, and on each side of the resistance genes there are genes that code for it to be easily inserted into the DNA of another bacteria, and it can flop back and forth between all these. So we're not worried about a specific pathogen spread, and we're worried about the genetics that are easily spread.
Yeah, so it's just like if one bug gets resistant to the antibiotic, there's a part of that resistant bug that could be passed on
a whole other brand of bacteria,
different types of bacteria, and cause the same resistance.
So they're very valuable tools. They've done a lot of good for us, and they can continue to do a lot of good for us. The thing everyone should have in the back of their mind when they're getting ready to use them on an individual case, is this really where this antibiotic works, and am I using the best one? And that involves a producer and a veterinarian working together. That's why they're prescription, to drive that relationship. That's why we have the VFD, to drive that relationship. But when using them for routine prevention, the thing I'm asking everyone to think about is, do I have another option? Is there another option I can do to take that away? And it's really like miles on your car. A 100-mile trip today or a 1,000-mile trip doesn't wear it out. 100 or 200 of those trips can. And that's how we need to think about using it.
Yeah, and I think that you hit the nail on the head. Use your veterinarian, because when I sit there and I see someone carry out a tray of different antibiotics, and they go, this one needs Nuflor, or this one needs whatever. You know, the veterinarians know the mode of action and the bugs we're treating for, and sometimes you're going to need some help in picking out the right one.
Yep. And it's good to have them involved routinely on the prevention part too. Veterinary medicine in our organizations, we're really focusing on stewardship and the prevention part. And you know what? If we prevent the disease so you don't need to use an antibiotic to prevent it,
it's better for all of us. Folks, thanks for watching Doc Talk. We're going to wrap up with Dr. Apley after these messages.
If my calves start healthy and stay healthy, I've got a good shot at making money. That is why I trust Colostrix. It gives my calves the protection they need until their own immune systems kick in.
Calf raisers trust Colostrix colostrum supplements. Colostrix is USDA licensed and proven effective. When your money is on the line, trust Colostrix.
Some call it a come-from-behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thomson and Dr. Mike Apley. Dr. Apley is the Frick Professor here at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine in the Department of Clinical Sciences, where he is a boarded clinical pharmacologist, serves on many national and international boards. Our industries are indebted to this man. We're very thankful for all that you do and very appreciative for what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to stand up for agriculture, food production, and farmers or ranchers across the U.S. So, talk to me a little bit. You've mentioned earlier offset that there are some ways that we're measuring antibiotic usage.
So on a national basis, since the Animal Drug Availability Act, well, the Animal Drug User Fee Act, one of the previous iterations, it's been required that the FDA Center for Veterinary Medicine collect sales data on antibiotics for food animals with the food animal indication on the label and report those. So the first report was in 1999, and now we just had the 2016 use data come out. So it's based on sales. The first thing that happened for 2016 was that they split them up by estimates to different species by group based on estimates from the companies on where those drugs went as far as species. Some of them are probably pretty tight. Some of them only go to one species, so that's probably right on the money.
Yeah.
Others, it's a little more wishy-washy. So that's the numerator, kilograms of drugs sold. The denominator the FDA is proposing right now, they've received comments, is a biomass estimate to try to standardize it within species so you could say, well, pigs use this much per average, so many kilograms present a year, and cattle use this much, and chickens. Pluses and minuses to that approach. So that's based on sales data. We are working here at Kansas State University. We have a collaborative agreement with the FDA. We're collecting actual use at the farm level on 32 dairies and 30 feedlots. There's another program based out of University of Minnesota where one of our collaborators is on our project that's doing the same with poultry and pigs. Those will be much more focused, and they will be appropriate, more accurate, and they will be able to be used for benchmarking of one producer against the others in the study. Entirely confidential. There will be a national report going out that's very basic, but the individual ones will be more detailed. And then the last one is the USDA is doing some survey-based work in feedlots and then swine. So we are going to have more, a higher level of view on what we're doing. And hopefully it can help us look at each other and what we're doing in relation and saying, what could we do different, or how could we improve?
Well, a lot moving.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And a lot in a good way. I mean, a lot of times, you know, it's just a continuation of the story of continuous improvement, providing a safer, more wholesome food product and keeping it affordable. Thanks for being on the show, and thanks for all you do. Thank you for watching DocTalk, and remember, if you want to see what we do here at DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. Always work with your local veterinarian. We appreciate you watching the show. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Colostrix Colostrum Supplement and Replacer. Proven to provide essential immunity and help prevent scours from E. coli. Trust your newborn calf health to Colostrix from AgriLabs.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com.
DocTalk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.